Let's take a few breaths together, shall we? Exhale first. Take a deep breath in. And let it go. Another deep breath. And let go. Another deep breath in. I'm going to do my best not to just stand up here and cry in front of you all today. So thank you, Molly and Cheryl, for both calling my beloved Firefly into this space. For some of you who've been around for the last couple of years, you've followed this journey. But I'm going to share the story for those of you who haven't heard it, because I really want to give gratitude to Val for that song, because that last line, a life uncommon. Our theme this month is UnStatus Quo, which is all about going a different way. And been holding it together for a while, and y'all are my people. Firefly was one of my greatest friends and companions on the path. We met 15 years ago in our spiritual community of the Launching Pad in Berkeley, which is a young adult intentional spiritual community. She was part of the cohort who trained with Dr. Gene Houston, traveled not only the country but the universe together. And she was someone who, her entire life, always followed the voice of something greater that was calling her. I said this yesterday, but she was one of those people that if she would leave the house and had plans to go and turn right, and as she got to that intersection, Spirit said, go left, she'd go left. And then she'd come back with these stories about the people she met and the new relationships she just founded and the magical things that happened and all that unfolded because she took that different turn. And that was how she lived her life. Every day she was led by something. She was a powerful musician. There was the voice of God sang through her. And a number of years ago, she started to feel this call to go to Europe and do this ancestral music journey and connect with her European ancestors, to find their music, to go to her ancestral homeland and connect with that lineage. And so her and her band went to Europe and created this ancestral music tour, learning medieval music, and she went to her family's hometown in Germany. And the band had been on tour, and she was supposed to wake up the next morning and get on a train to go to Spain to go to a medieval music course. And the bandmates woke up expecting her to be gone that morning, having got on a train and left, and she was still sitting in the living room. And she said, I woke up this morning and everything in me said, stay in Germany. Don't go to Spain. There's something you have to do here. And she shared that with the band and said, I know this changes our plans and we need to reorient some things. I'm going to go for a walk to clear my head and get really clear about why I'm here. That was the last conversation anyone ever had with her. 15 to 20 minutes later, she was struck by a train and spent the last 2 years in a coma. And she left her body on August 6th of this year. We just had her memorial yesterday. The night of her passing, I was at the house with the family, and Jason and I stayed there overnight. And I had a dream that night. And I had a dream that I was in a grand room with thousands of people. And everyone in the room was in freeze frame. You ever done improv and then someone says freeze? Right? So the whole room, everyone's just like frozen in pose. Except for one person. Firefly was moving around the room in the dream, and she was repositioning every person, shifting their trajectory, changing their posture, changing who they were standing next to, shifting their focus a little bit. And then everyone starts to move, and she disappeared. The year before she left, she produced an album, which actually had her album release party here a couple years ago. The title of her album was called Shift Shaper. Shift Shaper. The 2 years that she was in a coma before she left her body, I watched as every single person who knew and loved her become transformed, become changed in some powerful way, to make a commitment to live, to love more wholly, more fully. I watched unhealed connections get healed. I watched so much healing happen in our shared community. And there was so much shared at her service yesterday about the power of her willingness to follow this unseen guidance, even into her death. And I will tell you, my friends, that I've been preaching divine perfection for 20 years, and I think only because of her am I starting to understand what it means. Ernest Holmes says in the Science of Mind textbook that no mistakes have been made, that none can be made, that none will be made, that there is one supreme intelligence that governs, guides, and guards, and it tells us what to do, when to act, how to be. And then in that passage he says, and go continue to tell yourself every day that there's a presence that goes before you that makes the way easy and clear. My beloved friend followed that presence every day of her life. And I have to believe that on some level there is no mistake here, because she left us so many signs and signals that there was a conscious choice involved in what happened. Whether she knew what she was choosing or not, the higher wisdom self at work knew. And what I know is that the power of her, the truth of her, is eternal. And that her life is now rippling out into the world and changing people in ways that may never have been possible if she had continued to live. I've told many of you, you've heard me talk before, one of my spiritual practices that I ask the universe for is the contemplation of unanswerable questions. One of my deep, ongoing spiritual practices is simply to ask the question, how is this God? How is this perfect? How is the divine showing up in what is right in front of me? And my beloved gifted me a question that I will spend the rest of my life asking. And I, because of her, will continue to seek to live in a way that is more purely open to listening to that divine call. Because I believe that every one of us comes into this world with a purpose. And we think that purpose is to get all the things we want and be happy and live a long life. Right? That's what God has messaged for us, thank you. I think that we are all actually here to change each other. And I said to someone the other day, what if the whole reason we're here is to learn how to love more? Doesn't matter how we get there. If the one thing we come here for is to learn about love, to learn to trust, and to be that love, then everything that comes our way is our opportunity to grow into that. And in that, there's this terrible, beautiful, divine perfection that's at work in all of our lives. What feels like one of the greatest losses and tragedies in my own life also feels like one of the most beautiful demonstrations of Spirit at work in the world. What if we could all choose to be open enough to actually listen to that divine current that is flowing through us, leading us every step of the way to fulfill what each one of us came here for? One of the images I hold in my mind is that there's a great big puzzle that is the world we want, the world we want to see, the world that works for everyone, the world that's healed and whole, all of that. Nobody has the picture on the box. We don't know what the picture's supposed to look like, but everybody has a piece of the puzzle. And the more we realize that we are mutually interdependent, the more we realize we are here for each other, the more we delve deep into the relationships that are here for us, we find the ways that those puzzle pieces fit together. And then we become the emergence of that new picture, that new image, that new way of doing and being. Firefly and I both studied with Dr. Jean Houston, and one of her core practices that she taught us is to connect with this presence that she calls the entelechy. There's a long Greek history to what this word means, but she describes it as the lure of becoming. It is that self that's calling us forward. And so one of the examples she gives is it's the entelechy of an acorn to become an oak tree. It's the entelechy of a caterpillar to become a butterfly. Each one of us has that ideal potential that we could become. We only become that if we truly trust and follow the thing that is leading us towards it. But so often we think we know better about who we're supposed to be and what we want to do and where we're going to go. And we need to make plans and goals and lists and all the things instead of being led. If we think we're going to map our way to where we're trying to go, good luck. If we can learn to trust and follow, I guarantee each one of us will be led where we're meant to be going. So let's just breathe. Lauren, let's do this. Take another deep breath in. I want to invite everyone on the next deep breath, if you're comfortable, to bring your hands to your heart. And just breathe into that heart space. Because what I want to remind each one of us is that there is a voice that lives in that heart. There is guidance. There is wisdom. There is a call for each one of us that comes from that deep internal place. And so on the next deep breath in, from your hands to your heart, I want to invite you to open your hands up to whatever place feels comfortable for you. But imagine that heart path opening before you. Imagine that there is a current, there is a path, there is a presence that goes before each one of us. And imagine for a moment, if you can, that right now in this moment you can sense, I can sense that presence standing right in front of each one of us. And it whispers into our hearts and it says, "Come be me." That higher self inviting each one of us to take that step forward to become who we're meant to be. that one step forward to become a more authentic version of ourselves, that one step forward into a world that works for everyone, that one step forward into love. And the more that we listen to that voice, the more that we take those steps, the more that we walk the path, the more that we learn that we can trust it. That if what we are truly here for is to love, is to wake up, is to remember the truth of who we are, then let us call it in. Let the path guide us to our awakening. And let us remember that everything that comes our way is an invitation for us to wake up. To see, to feel, and to know the more of us. To remember that this life that we are living is a dream, and that there is one who is real, there is one who is eternal, there is one who is the one that I call God, that is the higher wisdom self, that is that one that is living through us, which is the true reality, which is all that is, which is where we came from, which is where we are going. And in this messy process called life, we are learning how to remember who we are. So for that I give thanks. For that I celebrate. Knowing that each one of us are on a path of awakening, knowing that all of the conditions that are here in this world right now, all of the pain, all that is pushing, all that feels broken, is inviting us to see the more, to step up, to stand up, to take the step, to be the love. If God is all there is, then everything is for us. And so in gratitude, in celebration of a life infinite, I just give thanks. I let it be. I bless it as it is, in its incomprehensible perfection. And I rest in that. And so it is.